And we're back, episode 14, the Pinch Talk podcast. A lot of things to talk about. This is what happens when you have more time in between podcasts. A lot of times, just topics will pop off just naturally. So, welcome to episode 14. Like I've said, remember to check out the podcast on all the platforms: Breaker, Apple Pods, Spotify, YouTube, all that shit. The podcast is there. Remember to check out the podcast account on Twitter. Remember to check out our Baseball Terms 101 threads. We're actually doing broadcast terminology right now. The lineup, a lot of the expressions you'll hear broadcasters say during a game. Remember to check out Pat's articles that he writes about black baseball players. And I mentioned Pat. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, bro. How about yourself?
I'm pretty cool. I mean, could be better, but I mean, we're here to talk about baseball. Like, season's kind of seamlessly going, despite the whole situation that surrounds it, and that kind of makes me happy in some ways, and in other ways that we'll talk about later, it doesn't. So, yeah, like I've said, a lot of shit to talk about. So let's just kind of tell people first, how the standings kind of look, and because there are some teams that are hot right now, and they really differ a lot from what they were looking like just 10, 12 days ago, something like that. You got the standings in front of you, right?
Yeah, I do. Right now, starting with the American League East, you got Tampa Bay, who's jumped out in front of the Yankees, and Tampa Bay kind of started off slow, and the Yankees started off real hot, but it's kind of reversed, especially with the fact that the Yankees have a lot of injuries to players that get injured a lot. So,
yeah,
they're still going to wind up with like 35 wins regardless because it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
But Toronto is 7-3 in their last 10 games, and Baltimore and Boston are both 3-7 in their last 10 games.
Yeah.
So we kind of
they're fully back to earth.
Yeah, it would seem like this third week of baseball is where teams are kind of losing to teams they should lose to and beating teams they should beat. With the NL East, Miami still looks decent, even though the National League East is hot trash besides Atlanta, pretty much.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's bullpen is garbage. Me and Mario could be the closer in the 8th inning tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're serious about that. Like their bullpen has an 8 ERA.
Yeah, I've never pitched in my life. I could definitely be the setup guy.
Yeah. So that pretty much centers the NL East. AL Central, Twins, Cleveland baseball team, and the White Sox all look great. They're all within one game of each other. KC and Detroit are in the middle of 5-year rebuilds. And on to the NL Central. The Cubs look great. The Nationals need to catch up on a whole lot of games. And the rest of the NL Central looks mediocre.
Surprisingly so,
yeah.
if I might say.
The NL West, Houston's bouncing back as I predicted. I said they would bounce back in the third week of baseball. Oakland still looks like the best team in baseball. And the rest of the division is going to be top 10 in the draft this year. Or top 15.
Yep.
Then you got the NL West, where it's Dodgers and Slam Diego.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. You got to talk about that, but yeah, San Diego's won like 6 straight, and the Dodgers have a 71 run differential.
That's great. That's so crazy to me.
71.
They're an all-star team.
Yeah, the next best team is 39, so it's almost like they're 10 points away from being twice. Yeah, almost double.
That's crazy.
They're 9-1 in their last 10 games.
No comment.
Yeah, after the San Diego, it gets sloppy. It gets real sloppy.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. You got something else?
No, I'll save it for whenever we move on to the next topic.
Yeah, okay. So, Pat mentioned San Diego, the Padres. We talked a little bit about them in the NL West preview and, in other episodes. And we felt like, a lot of young pieces, this team could probably do something, but we felt like maybe, we had to see if they, if they actually click, right? And so far they're clicking. Aren't they like 16-11 right now? Something like that. Like they're playing really well. Like Pat
17-12.
Yeah, 17-12. That's really good. They've won like 6 straight.
And 6 straight.
They're hitting a lot of grand slams, like an abnormal amount of grand slams. And one of those, now correct me if I'm wrong, because this was a while ago. One of those grand slams was hit by Fernando Tatís Jr., who's a superstar, by the way. 21-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, shortstop. Superstar, hits the ball hard. Maniac on the base paths. Acrobatic defense. Just everything you want, right, in the next phase of baseball. Speaks both Spanish and English really well. That always helps.
And he's the son of a major leaguer.
Yep. Yeah.
Like a popular one at that, yeah. Like a productive one who was in the majors for 14 years.
Yeah. His father hit 2 grand slams in the same inning of the same pitcher, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in baseball. And yeah, so Fernando Tatís Jr., he hit a grand slam with the Padres up by 7, I think, or by 6, like in the 8th inning against the Rangers. And the problem here is he swung 3-0. Now, if you're familiar with baseball and the unwritten rules, you will know that swinging 3-0 when you're up big is something that, according to everyone who goes by these unwritten rules, is just, something you should not do. Why? Because, you're not trying to rub it in to the face of the opponent. And there was a whole shitstorm. The Rangers manager, Chris Woodward, got super mad at Tatís. Tatís' own manager actually threw him under the bus in the press conference. And it was just, and actually, it was a good thing that pretty much everyone I saw on social media just shitted on the Rangers for it. But, this still kind of opens up the discussion about, not only the unwritten rules, but also the connotations that kind of come with them, right? I mean, like, what's your take on it, though? Like, because I feel like we're both similar on this, but, like, I'm trying to hear, like, your opinion because you've actually played baseball, for a long time before. So, go ahead, man. Like, yeah.
It's stupid. It's bullshit. The unwritten rule things is dumb, especially in modern day baseball. If you don't want anybody, you shouldn't be giving them the grand slam in the first place. If you don't want somebody to hit a grand slam, let alone
pitch better.
Pitch better. I mean, it's baseball. These dudes are the best players in baseball. Fail 60% of the time. Let them run it up. Like, let them get his money. Like, exactly. That's one thing about baseball I don't like. They don't let folks get theirs. And mind you, this was the same Rangers team last year when my son needed 200, needed one more strikeout to reach 200 in the bottom of a complete game. Somebody let a fly foul out drop to the ground, so he get to go for 200 strikeouts.
Oh, that's ironic, ain't it?
And it's very ironic. And the best thing about this whole debacle has been the fact that the Padres are pretty much annexed Texas. That's a part of San Diego for the rest of the series. And then the Texans play another team and they get cooked again. No, the San Diego Padres, they carried on to the Astros and started hitting grand slams against them. But it's just crazy. That's all I gotta say for real. Chris Woodward and them were not right. And Jay Stingler, the Padres manager, he actually walked back. Him throwing Tatís under the bus in the press conference the next day. Yeah, he walked it back.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's still bad that he did it, but
yeah, like he's a young guy. He's a young guy too, which is weird. But
yeah,
like he's like 36.
He got ties to the Rangers organization, though.
Oh, okay, so yeah, he probably did it just to save face with them.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just a bullshit. It's a bullshit rule. First of all, it's your fault that you're down by 7 in the 8th inning, right? It's your fault. Play better. You're grown ass men. you should not need to have your feelings protected when you're not doing your job well. So, I mean, this is really not a long discussion. It's just pussy shit. I mean, can you imagine this in basketball, fam? Like,
No.
imagine in basketball you got two teams, right? Imagine I'm gonna say just two random teams because I don't follow basketball. I don't know these teams' situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, just two random teams, right? You got the Lakers and the Celtics, whatever. Imagine the Lakers are beating the Celtics ass so bad, like they're whipping them by like 50 points in the third quarter, something like that. And they go ahead and they shoot and they shoot one from like the logo, and they hit a three. And the Celtics get mad at that because they're running up the score, quote unquote, and then they pick up the ball and they throw it right at him. Because that's another thing. Not only did they get mad at Tatís for swinging 3-0, they threw at Manny Machado right after that, which was incredible. And on MLB's, defense, because a lot of times they bungle shit like this, they really fuck up. Didn't they suspend the pitcher who threw at Manny?
Yeah, they suspended the pitcher for one game. Chris Woolworth got 3 games.
See, that's a good thing. I actually salute MLB for that. I mean, they should have suspended him for more, but at least they did something because...
I mean, considering it's a 60-game season, I guess they took that into account.
Yeah. If this was like 162 games, they would have probably gone like 2 weeks each, something like that. But like that's besides the point. At least, I mean, I would have agreed. I would have kind of argued for a harsher penalty, just because you can't be thrown at players like that. You just cannot. But yeah,
that's I mean, really at least it wasn't like shoulders or above. He actually did it the right way and threw right at his ass.
Okay, I mean, it's still bad because I mean you can still lose.
I agree for sure, but I mean, you see these dudes be throwing nowadays, and they'll be giving some towards the shoulder blade. Like, you're not Bob Gibson. Relax.
Yeah. In that case, it's fair. Like throwing just one right, like behind him by a lot, like something like that. But I mean, it's still bad. But yeah, I get you. But like, yeah. So that's really the whole discussion on the unwritten rules. There's not really that much of a discussion because if one of us was like a baseball traditionalist who believes that bat flips are disrespectful and that running up the score is bad, this would actually be a discussion. But since we're not, and we agree on this, there's really not much to say on this. Also, one thing that's funny is the whole, don't run up the score, the game is over. Baseball is the only major sport that doesn't have a timer. So as long as you haven't made 27 outs, you can still technically come back and win the game.
And that's another thing. We've seen crazier comebacks in baseball.
Yes.
We've seen, only in baseball we have some crazy stuff happen. Like, all they need is just one good inning to bust it open and they're right back in the game.
Yeah. The Mets were leading the Nats. I think this was last year. They were leading the Nats 10-4 in the 9th inning. And the Nats won that game 11-10 or something like that. Just one example.
The Phillies bullpen just blew a 8-run lead the other day.
Yeah. So just an even better example, even more reason. Like, it's just bullshit. Baseball has no time limit. It has no timer, no clock, no nothing. So like I said, as long as you haven't made 27 outs, you can still come back in the game. And I mean, what happens if Tatís takes that 3-0 pitch instead of swinging at it? Are the Rangers just gonna, are they gonna go up to the plate in the next half inning and just take every single pitch until they strike out because the game is over? I bet not. It's just bullshit. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it. It's just bullshit. Let's not dwell into it a whole lot. Yeah, so more on the list of topics. There's a lot of juicy pause shit, like.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on, because I was trying to find. Nah, bro, come on. I know you knew this English thing, but.
Because I was trying to find a word, and I was like not trying to wait for 5 seconds.
I
actually said pause, so you can't actually.
No, man, that's awful. That's just awful.
I went mad Caucasian on that one.
For real.
Hey yo, but
Like
yeah. So there has
you
been
had a
some
gossip
wild.
column or something for MTV.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man. So if you didn't turn off the podcast after hearing that, there there have been a lot of wild news, and one of them involved Pat's team. You care to explain to the folks about the whole Plesac Clevinger incident? You know what happened with them and how they handle it and that whole thing.
Um, Zach and Mike Clevinger need dunce caps. Like they shouldn't wear regular baseball fitteds on the field now. They should wear dunce caps with the block C on it. Especially Plesac, since he wants to get on Instagram after violating the travel rules and stuff. For any of you who don't know, this happened like 2 weeks ago. Zach Plesac and Mike Clevinger both got caught leaving the hotel and going out. And the weird thing about it was Plesac tried to sneak back in and he got caught. And Clevinger didn't even come back to the team hotel and no one noticed.
Dummies.
And it's not just the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic and you have, a couple of older guys on the staff, especially Tito, who has heart problems. But you have a guy who literally just recovered from cancer.
Yeah.
Like his immune system could still be like compromised or not working. It's just stupid. That's really the only way to put it. It's just very stupid.
Yeah, it's very stupid. So Plesac got caught, and then what happened with Clevinger? Because he did even some more stupid shit.
Clevinger tried to defend Plesac. Then he didn't admit to not being with the team, and then he traveled with the team back to Cleveland from Chicago or wherever they were.
Dumb, 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 dumb.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just, it's like Pat said, one of your teammates just recovered from cancer. Idiots! Like, what's wrong with you? You don't have enough self-control to sit in the fucking hotel, which I'm sure is not a shitty hotel.
No, it's their MOB. They obviously got like a 5-star hotel.
Yeah,
they better call some. They better call up some girl and her friends and have her come through or something. Like,
yeah. Sit your ass the fuck down.
Drink some wine, eat some pizza.
Yeah, you can find ways to entertain yourself in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel, other than being fucking dummies and going out. So that happened. Plesac got caught. Clevinger defended Plesac, didn't admit to it, then flew with the team, which could have, he could have infected the whole team. And now we got another outbreak, and you got people at risk within the team. And now, not only are they at risk, the season is also at risk because this shit. And then Plesac, you kind of mentioned it. This motherfucker, he went on Instagram and shit and just posted a video basically saying, y'all hating on me.
And that made his teammates even madder because it's clear that he didn't get it.
Yeah. And there was a lot of tension in the clubhouse, correct?
Yep, a lot. Oliver Perez threatened to opt out if they came back. And Lindor was outspoken. And Carlos Santana wanted to kill somebody.
That boy Carlos Santana, man, he was chasing them with the baseball bat in his hands.
Yeah, for real. Probably was waiting. Who knows, man? Who knows what he did? Probably broke Clevinger's skateboard or something.
Yeah, but like people got mad, and rightfully so, within the team, and they actually got sent down to the alternate site. So that is a big development because, I mean, Clevinger, Plesac, they're not scrubs, correct? I mean, they're both really good pitchers.
No, they're both very good pitchers, but when you can throw guys to your alternate site and still have a elite rotation because you have so much depth, it says a lot about the team.
Yeah, and on that note, go ahead, man. I mean, I know you've kind of been waiting for this. In case y'all didn't know, Triston McKenzie, a Cleveland Spiders / Indians / baseball team prospect, he made his debut last night. Wasn't the last time he'd pitched like 2 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, it's literally almost been 2 years. It's been like 720 something days.
Yeah, and he struck out 10 over 6 innings, gave up only 2 hits. So, man, like, go ahead, man. Like, just, brag about your team right now, because we just covered a topic where, your team was in the middle of some shit. Brag about your team, bruh. Go ahead. Make me sad. Come on.
So, last night the Cleveland Indians called up a pitcher who, mind you, never pitched in the major leagues. And because of injury, he hasn't pitched in 722 days. And last night he made his debut, going 6 innings, striking out 10, giving him 2 hits and 1 earned run, which is a great debut, like a really great debut. And mind you, he was on a pitch limit too, which was 6 innings or 80 pitches. And he pitched through 6 innings, striking out 10 in the 80 pitches.
Crazy.
In his major league debut, in his first time pitching competitively in over 2 years, in almost 2 years to the day.
Mm-hmm.
And Triston McKenzie had a lot of hype. He was drafted when he was 17 in the first round. And he pretty much jumped in the minors. He reached AA ball 2 years ago when he was 20.
Which is impressive on its own.
Yeah, he pitched a full half season at 20 in AA. So people were saying, like, if he was never injured, he would have got called up before Plesac, or probably would have.
Probably.
Like, probably, like, definitely, because he still had a lot of stock. And he was a top 50 prospect for most of his career until he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of hype surrounding him. He's like 6'5", 165. So he's skinny, okay. But like he looks
Kevin
like
Durant arms.
Yeah, like there's a picture of him. He can put his arms are so long. He could cover a whole doorway with just his arms if he leans over. Like I'm gonna send you the picture. Like it's crazy how long his arms are.
Yeah, and that creates weird angles for hitters to actually see.
It creates deception because they think the ball is closer. Well, the ball is closer, so it increases perceived velocity, and which is crazy. Which also carries over deception and how the ball carries to the zone and stuff like that, and the release point.
Yeah, how did you see his pitches last night? Because we know he's got a lively fastball. Mm-hmm. I actually heard some good things about the breaking ball. I didn't know about the changeup. So how did you see him last night? Like in terms of like pitch selection and how he pitched? So
based on the industry of scouting and stuff like that, Triston McKenzie was seen as had a plus fastball, which was 60 grade because of his life and carry, not just because of the velocity. And originally he only sits 90 to 93, which is because he's so skinny even though he's tall. His curveball is seen as plus 60 grade too, and it's seen as his best pitch and his out pitch. But there's one thing some teams don't like about it is his spin rate, but apparently it still has a lot of depth because it has useful spin. Even it's a really unique pitch. So it's like a 12-6, 11-5, something. It's weird, but he's seemed to have had a velocity jump from like. Because he originally sat 90, 93, but now it seems like he's hitting 94 and 96, and he's hitting 97. So it's a bit different. His third pitch is a changeup, and it's something he's really struggled with throughout his minor league career. Teams thought it wasn't that good, and scouts. So for most of his minor league career, it was seen as a 45 grade. But because of his command, it seems that it could play up. But he's also had a slider and a cutter, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. And how did you see him mechanics wise? Because guys like that with real long levers, it can be hard for them to repeat mechanics. How you see the case with Chris Sale, someone like that who was thought of just exclusively as a reliever, and then kind of worked his way into being a dominant starter. So how did you see him in terms of mechanics and repeating them, and how comfortable he looked?
He has very clean mechanics for someone who's 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
Very fluid. Like, I know you saw it last night. Like, he has a very fast arm. It's kind of whip-like. And his effort, even though his effort looks kind of high delivery because his arms are so long and his legs are, it's very smooth and easy. And he's great at having plus mechanics. Like, his pitchability and intelligence on the mound is really great as well. From people I know in the industry, that have told me things about him. And he also has like 60 grade command.
Seems to be the norm with a lot of y'all pitchers.
Yeah, his walk per nine in the minors is a 2.7, and his K per nine is like 11.5.
That's pretty good.
And his minor league ERA is like a 2.6.
Yeah, this is for a kid who was pitching. I'd probably say he was like 2.5, 3 years younger than the average age at the levels that he was pitching at. Correct?
He was pretty much the youngest pitcher in every level he's ever played at, or one of.
That's really impressive.
And in Lake County, he pitched at Lake County, which is full season A ball at 19.
That's really impressive. I mean,
at 18, actually 18. He was only 18.
Even more impressive. Even more.
And he jumped to high A at 19. He jumped to high A 19 and won pitcher of the year in the Virginia League.
Yeah, we talk a lot about prospects' age, and because it's really important. A lot of times, maybe you see someone, maybe has a lot of tools, something like that, and then you look at his age, and he's a lot older than you probably would have won. Like Sam Hilliard, for example, he's 26. He has a lot of tools, but he's 26. So,
Aaron Judge.
Yeah, exactly. Like late bloomers, they have it a bit tougher. Guys who rocket through the minor leagues and are consistently 2 years younger, 2+ years younger than the average age at the level they're playing at. Those are the guys you really want to keep an eye on, because those are the guys that will make the majors at age 21. And yeah, they'll be a lead for a decade, basically. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, you pretty much, young players that are successful value not only because of the fact that you have control and you can have their best years physically, but also guys that can perform versus older competition. It's a sign of skill. And
a lot of teams push prospects like that. They push their good prospects to play against older guys.
Yeah, certain teams value age more than others, and the Indians are one of them in how they draft and sign players. They're big on getting guys as much development time in their system as possible.
Yeah, it's a good sign of believing in what you can do with these young players. So, yeah. You mentioned his the spike in velocity. I think it's really, really, really huge for him that he manages to sit around 94, 95 instead of 92, 93. Because there's like a hill that pitchers clear. Like once they can hit 95 plus, their fastball, and by definition, the rest of their arsenal becomes a lot tougher to hit. Right? Like, I don't know like where exactly have I seen it, but there's like a stat for this. Like pitchers who sit 95 plus, they have on average much better results than pitchers who sit 93 plus. And that might seem, well, Mario, I mean, that is fucking obvious, duh. But like, it's important to like hit that velocity range and then maintain the rest of your stuff. Like that's when you have an ace and good control. And Triston McKenzie has all that. He's young. I mean, he has everything, duh. Y'all make me jealous, bruh. It seems like one of every two pitchers y'all draft, or like one of every two pitchers that goes through y'all minor league system ends up becoming a major leaguer of some sorts. It's bullshit.
I'm so spoiled, man. It's just crazy to me. The Indians had a free agent pitcher start for them since like 2014.
That's a wild stat. That's an actual stat?
Yeah.
That's a crazy stat. Damn.
Like, all homegrown. Damn. We either traded for them or we signed and developed them.
That's very impressive. That is very impressive. and that makes me jealous.
It's just, dude. And then Triston said it last night too. He talked about the culture and everything down there and how it benefited him because he's best friends with Shane Bieber, and having Zach Plesac and Aaron Zavala and Shane Bieber there to give, mind you, the only two veterans in this rotation. So Carlos Carrasco has been pitching for the Indians since like 2011, 2012. Clev's been with the team since 2016 when he got his first call up. Shea Bieber debuted in 18. Plesac and Zavala debuted in 19. And mind you, I remember when baseball was first rolling out in February, and I told you it needs AAA rotation. Is it going to be better in some major league rotations?
And you're right.
Triston McKenzie is technically the 7th starter on this team.
You're making me sad again.
I just want to, this is what a AAA rotation for the Cleveland will look like. McKenzie, Scott Moss, Adam Plutko, who else? Probably Eli Morgan and some other fifth guy.
I'd say 3 of those could start in the major leagues for a good 2/3 of the teams in the league, at least.
Yeah, Plutko, McKenzie, definitely.
Yep.
And then Scott Moss is still an interesting prospect, and then you still have Plesac, Zavala on the back end of the major league rotation, who basically got jumped up from Double A to straight to the majors last year.
You're seeing that a lot actually this year.
And they're all under 25.
All of them?
All the Plesac, Zavala, Bieber, and McKenzie are all 23 or 24.
No, that's gonna be that's actually gonna be interesting a couple years from now, seeing like who they keep, who they don't.
Think about this, bro. McKenzie, they have control of McKenzie till 2027.
Shut up, man.
2027.
See, you laughing in the background.
I'm laughing, and I
just
crazy.
know you're smiling, fam.
Bro, you can hear the smile. Like Shane, they have Shane Bieber until 2025. And mind you, they could still push back Clevinger and Plesac's free agency and stuff by a year if they wanted to.
I think Clevinger gets dealt.
Yeah, Clevinger's getting dealt this offseason, that's for sure. If anything, and mind you, Triston McKenzie is getting another start.
He should.
Like, he's going to get another start, so I think Clevinger's getting dealt.
Clevinger's a lot older than what I originally thought. Like, when I first looked it up, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and he has injury. He has an injury history.
Yeah. So that's not looking too good for him. But yeah, like, he's going to get traded. And I'm kind of... Y'all can kind of hear it in my voice. I'm kind of, like, dejected right now. It's making me sad.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm not sorry.
I don't care, bro. Like, brag about your team because that's good. Because much like the Dodgers are just like a top, like hold on a second. Like, the Dodgers are like a 55 plus future value prospect like factory. Y'all are the same thing, but with starting pitching. Go ahead.
That's perfect. But what I was gonna say was, if you want to be a Spiders fan, you come over here with the winning team and the better third base shortstop duo.
No comment on that.
Damn, I thought I was going to bait you.
Nah, fam. I mean, the way Nolan's playing is bad, but anyway. So that kind of ties in. I don't want to dive into the Rockies right away because, you know, there are some other things maybe that we can discuss. Or do I? I mean, let's just get it out of the way. So the Colorado Rockies. If y'all remember, in the last podcast we did, it was when the Rockies. I don't remember exactly when it was, but they were like one of the best teams in baseball at that point, right? The Colorado Rockies, after 14 games, were 11-3. If I'm not mistaken, that is the best winning percentage in franchise history through 14 games. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Since then...
Oh my goodness.
This is going to be bad.
That sigh. That sigh was.
Okay. Because I'm trying to get my facts right. Because I've actually, no bullshit. I've lost count of just how many games they've lost in a row. I think it's 6 in a row. So basically, since that point, the Colorado Rockies are 2. So I mean, they've won like some. I'm so like dumbfounded, like some Spanish crept up in there. They've lost, if I'm not mistaken, 11 of their last 13 games. Now, Pat, you said, you know, when I was bragging about the Rockies in that last episode, you said, and I'm pretty sure I'm almost damn near quoting you, man, this could be a huge collapse. We're fucking right. You was right. This is something else. Basically, see, I would have preferred for the Rockies to actually be trash the whole year, because then they gave me some hope that maybe with the fairy tale beginning, maybe they could creep him to the playoffs. Nope. So, with all that being said, with the sigh out of the way, let's give some background information on this first, right? Colorado Rockies are in the 28th year of their existence. In that time, the Colorado Rockies have made the postseason 5 times. In 28 years, 5 times. In 28 years, the Colorado Rockies. Yep, 5 times.
So that means almost once every 6 years they've made the playoffs.
Correct. In 28 years, the Colorado Rockies have won their division 0 times. That is 0. Pero, zilch. Nada.
Tony Gwynn made the playoffs more than y'all.
This team, this team is the one adjective I would use to describe this team that applies right now and that applies for the entire history of this franchise is inept. I think that's a good adjective to describe them. How's the ownership? Inept. Or what about the front office? Inept. What about their manager? Inept. What about their approach, to developing players? Terrible. Inept. What about the roster construction philosophy? Inept. What about their approach to hitting? Inept. What about their approach to pitching? Inept in 2020. This team is run like a conservative team from 1985. There are a lot of things to say about the Colorado Rockies. I think the damnedest thing to say is that, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not going to bother to fact check on this, because if I'm off, I'll only be off by a little bit. This team has, like I said, made the playoffs 5 times in 28 years. The franchise record for wins is 92 wins in the season. This team, with that baggage, has made the playoffs has had exactly 3 GMs in franchise history. 3 GMs in 28 years when you make the playoffs 5 times.
And the best GM is still a bad GM.
The best GM the Colorado Rockies have ever had would be the worst GM in the history of all other 29 MLB franchises.
You double down on that?
Yes. I'm willing to. I'll die on that hill.
Okay, all right.
I'll die on that fucking hill. Now, this is a team that is so ass backwards. It's incredible. let's jump all the way back to 2016, shall I say?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like, we got to give some background information as to why the 2020 Rockies are such a huge disappointment. So 2016, and y'all can hear my voice is rising right now because my blood pressure is as well. 2016, the Colorado Rockies had a really good first half of the year. They crumbled in the second half. They tend to do that, and we'll get into that a little bit. Now, that was a team that had a lot of good pieces. It was one of the highest ranked farm systems in all of baseball. A lot of good starting pitching depth in that farm system. Nolan Arenado was breaking out as a legitimate superstar. Charlie Blackmon, late bloomer, but he was also breaking through as a really good all-star caliber player. Trevor Story, the heir apparent to Troy Tulowitzki, he looked like the greatest shortstop on planet Earth at one point. So the Rockies thought, with a core of players, and DJ LeMahieu was also looking really good. And you had you had something. John Gray was looking like an ace. You had something. It was a young team with a lot of young upcoming players, a lot of high-level prospects, very close to the major leagues. Now, I'll pose you a question. A team in that situation, with a lot of money to spend on in free agency, what is the priority? What is the approach for a team like that in free agency? What do you do with that situation? Just a young team.
You put in veterans. You put in competent veterans, and if you get above average elite veteran, you do that. That fits within the structure of your team, obviously.
Correct. Was the key word you used right there. Competent. Entering 2017, the Colorado Rockies signed Ian Desmond to a 5-year, $70 million contract to play first base. Now, Ian Desmond had some good years with the Nats earlier on in the decade. Still, at his best, he was nothing more than 115 WRC plus hitter. Mm-hmm. At his best.
With a little bit of defensive value.
Exactly. He was coming off a year where his WRC plus, his offensive contributions, were just barely above league average with the Rangers.
When he was on his way to 30.
Exactly. I actually think he was 30 at that point. 30, 31. I'm not fact checking on that because I'm too pissed off to do it.
I'll look it up. You keep on going.
That contract will prove to be one of the biggest fuck ups in the history of this franchise. Not just because the contract is bad, not just because you wasted
the time.
Exactly. Not just because you wasted $70 million, but because of the ramifications of the Ian Desmond contract. And let me put this out there. I have no problems with Ian Desmond as a man. I don't know dude, but he looks like a cool dude, seems like a cool dude. Everything I've heard, he does great work in the community. He's spoken about a lot of shit, about a lot of important shit. No problem with the man. The player? Not a major league player. At this point, they spent $70 million on someone who was going to play first base, who was basically an average hitter. Now, what is the one quality of first base that, a first baseman just needs to have? A good bat, correct?
Yes.
Now, why is that? Because the value defensively at first base is not that big. So, let's move on. So, the Ian Desmond contract, everyone shitted on it, pretty much. But the Rockies, they knew they were on the right path. Now, what happens then? 2017, the Rockies, they get off to a super hot start. Pretty sure they were actually, neck and neck with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers for a while. They did slow down a little bit in the middle to the latter half of the year, which always happens with them, but it's okay because they made the playoffs. Wildcard game, I don't have to go over what happens there. It's painful, but it doesn't matter because it's a young team. You're going to lose in the playoffs. That experience is good. But you were just getting started, right? Right? I mean,
yes.
A team like that with a rising, a team like that with a starting rotation that's rising, young, homegrown rotation that's rising position players, a lot of prospects on the cusp of major league playing time. A team like that, it seems like that's the beginning of the good times, correct?
Yes.
There was something that went on in 2017. In 2017, Raimel Tapia, David Dahl were two outfield prospects for the Rockies. They were both highly touted prospects. Neither could really see the field. Dahl because he got hurt. Tapia because he got blocked by Gerardo Parra. Gerardo Parra was a sub-replacement level player, and the Rockies played him over their young, exciting prospect. This is a topic, a trend that will repeat itself. Correct?
Mm.
So, 2018. Going into 2018, the objectives should have been clear. This team's pitching staff is young, but is rising. The hitting core is lacking. What do? We signed 3 relievers over the age of 30 with a monster amount of mileage on their arms to a combined $105 million fucking dollars.
Including one that made like 70 appearances per year over the last 3 years, who was Brian Shaw.
Correct. Now, Pat is familiar with Brian Shaw.
Yes, I am.
Yes. What's one thing that Tito Francona did with Brian Shaw?
Every single, he was really out there almost every other game.
Ran his ass right into the ground.
Yeah, 2 innings, every other game. I'm gonna look up his stats because the amount of innings he threw was just ridiculous for a reliever.
Yeah. So basically, they paid $105 million for 3 aging relievers with a lot of mileage and very close, past their prime, and very near the point where relievers, who, by the way, are by default, really random.
Yeah. I got the numbers for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when he was with Cleveland, he was with Cleveland for 5 years. He made a total of 378 appearances in 5 years.
Jesus.
And year by year, this is how many appearances he made: 70, 80, 74, 75, 79.
That's insane.
And mind
Incredible
you,
amount of work.
in those 5 years, he averaged 3.11 ERA.
It was great.
Yeah, he threw 358 innings.
And that's the reliever you signed.
Yeah, he literally averaged 64 innings per year. In Cleveland, he averaged 70. This is innings by year: 75, 76, 64, 66, 76.
That's a beaten down old horse.
Yes.
You signed him.
That's it.
Yeah. Not a whole lot else to say that. Did they do anything to address the offense going into 2018? Nope. You know what they did, though? They brought back Cargo. Now, Cargo is an all-time Rockies great. He was washed up by 2018. He shouldn't have been on that team. You know what was the consequence of Cargo getting brought back? Gerardo Parra being brought back. Ian Desmond still playing first base. David Dahl, Raimel Tapia, Ryan McMahon. All prospects who could have contributed big time to that team offensively. All up and down the minors, getting pinch hitting opportunities at best. So basically a wasted year of development, except for Dahl, who did start late on in the stretch. Dahl did get benched for Gerardo Parra, though. Another problem that year was the Rockies catchers. Now, I sent you that graph of the best catchers in Rockies history by F4. You described it with one word: depressing. I agree. the Rockies had a catcher named Tom Murphy. Now, you probably heard of him because he's with the Mariners now, and he was actually really good last year. The Rockies barely gave him any playing time whatsoever because they just had to give, some at-bats to Drew Butera and Tony Walters. Whatever, right? Another guy who you might know is Mike Tauchman. He's with the Yankees now. He's a legitimately good, above average, major league caliber player.
Mm-hmm.
The Rockies gave him, you know how many at-bats they gave him?
Did he even make it to the majors with the Rockies?
68 at-bats. While Gerardo Parra was out there putting up minus 1.2 WAR. While Cargo was barely scratching league average, and that was on his bounce back year. With that outfield situation, they couldn't find at-bats for a guy who consistently had an OPS near 1,000 in AAA. So in 2018, of course, they get carried by amazing starting pitching. John Gray gets unlucky, but Kyle Freeland and Germán Marquez, they have Cy Young caliber seasons. Both of them. 2018, they make the playoffs again. They somehow beat the Cubs because the Cubs are even more undisciplined than the Rockies themselves. Terrific pitching performance at Wrigley Field. Really happy moment. Then what happens? They go and play a real team. They play the Milwaukee Brewers. They get smoked. And by getting smoked, I mean they scored 2 runs in 3 games. Those 2 runs all came in the same inning. In 3 games. So it seems clear, right? The problem with this team seems clear now. It's been 2 years in a row. The problem with this team seems very clear. There is no position player depth here. We have 3 good hitters. What did the Rockies do? Did they add on to it? No. They let DJ LeMahieu walk, which was a good thing. Brendan Rodgers was almost on the cusp of making the majors. And he was, and still is, a legitimate high-level prospect.
And honestly, what they should do was they should have re-signed DJ to like a 1-year stopgap deal. Or let Triston or whoever run around out there. And just call when you have guys that are good, you just throw them out there and see what they can do as soon as you can. Like what the Indians did with Triston McKenzie.
Yeah. Seems logical, right?
Yeah. They're baseball players. This is what they do for a living.
Correct. Now, heading into 2019, the Rockies in that offseason, did nothing. They lost DJ LeMahieu. They also lost Adam Ottavino, their best reliever. But that's okay. You cannot pay every reliever. They signed Daniel Murphy, who had shown clear signs of declining, to play first base, just to make sure that every prospect who could conceivably play in the infield would get blocked some more. So they roll in 2019 with the same exact lineup, same pitching staff, everything the same. They thought they would be so great. They thought they were building off a terrific 91 win season. They started the season 3-12, and I remember this like it was yesterday because it was painful to watch them. They were not hitting at all because they just cannot hit. This is a team that cannot hit. So they begin the season 3-12. They fight back, and as late as I think early July, they were 43 and 41, something like that. They were just above 500. Then July, August, and September were just a nightmare, and they finished 71 and 91. Pitching staff imploded. No one was hitting aside from the 3 guys that always hit: Story, Blackman, Arenado. And now here we are. The team sat on its ass again the off season, and going into this year, they put the same team out there, and they actually thought that they were going to perform any better. Here's a question, and it's a real question. It's not a rhetorical question. What other team in the major leagues would call up their number 1 prospect with a huge hole in the lineup and at second base. And give Chris motherfucking Owings a start over him.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
I doubt even they would do that.
Yeah, you know they're right. They did have a regime change. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else.
None. Brendan Rodgers has been with the Major League team for 5 games now. In the first 4, he started 1, got 8 plate appearances. Your number 1 prospect. And I'm convinced the only reason he started a game is because Chris Owings got hurt. He's starting this game now, and the only reason he's starting it because Nolan is out of the lineup because he's struggling.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a lot of rest days anyways.
No, but Nolan doesn't need rest. He's an Ironman.
I mean, that's true, but still, in modern day baseball, you let guys sit a game every now and then, especially during the 60-game season where you have to kind of be proactive when you have everybody injuring themselves, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so that's fair. But
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I wasn't, like, guys like Nolan, Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana, they're going to play 150 games a year regardless. They're going to play.
They'd play hurt if it was up to them.
I don't think people realize how much baseball players play hurt throughout the season.
Yeah, because a lot of it are, they're not like big time injuries. Like, they're just shit that like bothers you and that fucks up your swing. And this guy's slumping for 2 weeks. What happened? Maybe his thumb is fucked up or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, like these dudes be playing with sprained ankles and fingers and stuff, and like big bruises on their, like, just the amount of wear and tear baseball players have on their core and their shoulders and arms and stuff throughout their careers is ridiculous.
Yeah, try swinging a wooden baseball bat for 5 days straight. This shit's gonna fuck up. Anyway, so this team right now, they started the season hot because a lot of guys were getting lucky with how they were hitting. The pitching was overperforming a little bit, but still, this is not a bad pitching staff at all. The problem with this team right now, as they fall under 500, they're 13-14 right now, is the same thing it has been since 2017. Depth. This team has not enough good players.
I agree. And that's one. You just don't have enough serviceable players on your roster to compete for a playoff spot.
Yeah, you don't need superstars at every spot. It's not feasible. You're not the Yankees or the Dodgers. Just average players.
Not to mention having 2 superstar infielders on the left side of the infield is pretty much as viable as you're going to get, unless it's a catcher.
Exactly. Short of a shortstop catcher superstar combo, having a duo like Arenado and Story, that's a luxury. Not even the Dodgers have that. The Yankees don't have that. Like, and they're squandering it. Why? Because they cannot build a major league roster. Because they're enamored with giving veteran players playing time over young, exciting players who could be a part of this team. Not only now, not only next year, but in 2022, for example. And I've said this on Twitter, with the way they're currently built, if it were up to me, I'd trade everyone. This team is not good enough to compete for anything serious. It's just not. Will they do it, though? The answer to that, I can already give you that answer, folks, is no. The Colorado Rockies don't rebuild because that would fuck up with the amount of fans that come to the stadium. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters to the owner. That's all that matters. That's the reason why he doesn't replace GMs. He's comfortable. He makes his money. It's whatever. He's also the only owner, by the way, who hasn't paid his draft picks weekly.
I forgot about that.
Because I'm sure he's struggling so badly. You know what that does? You know who sees that? Every agent does. You know what agents are going to tell those young players when they're negotiating? Don't fuck with that team. I'm done. I got nothing. This fucking team I'm pissed at myself. I'm mad at myself for having an emotional attachment to this team. I will never stop rooting for this team, but I won't give this team a dime. A dime.
Because of their colors.
Yes. I actually started rooting for this team because I didn't know anything about baseball. I just picked a team based on who had the ill-looking jerseys. My favorite color is purple. The Rockies were the pick. Beautiful ballpark. Great fan base. Too loyal a fan base.
And a big fan base.
Yes. This is not the Kansas City Royals, fam. They play in Denver. This is a mid-market team. This is not a small market team. Don't cry poor. My bad, I cut you off.
No, you pretty much said what I was going to say. Like, and mind you, they have Montana and Utah and all those other random states in that part of the country.
This team is inept. I will never stop rooting for this team because I'm emotionally attached to them. But like I've said, I won't give this team a dime until Jeff Braddock is fired and Dick Monfort, the owner, sells this fucking team. I'm not backing down from that. I'm not giving this team a dime until there's an ownership change. I will never buy a jersey. I'll never, God forgive, I will never go to a game. I won't give you a dime.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Nothing until you sell the fucking team. Nothing. I'll buy my shit off eBay. I'll buy used Rockies gear.
Hey, I got the link for this Majestic, the people that used to make the baseball jerseys until Nike did it. They have a website for throwback jerseys. I'm just sending you a link for when we get
you
done.
can hit me up with that because I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, like straight.
Because I'm not giving this team a dime.
Bro, this is a villainous monologue that you going on right now.
And that's it. I got nothing else.
He said
I'm never. Yo, hold on. I'm sorry, but like, let me just get like this last sentence out, and then you can talk. I'm sorry, like, I'm never gonna talk at length about this team again until on this podcast. Of course, I will tweet about it because I can't help myself. On this podcast, I promise I will never discuss this team on a long conversation like this, or a long monologue, until there is significant news, shake-up news, up top. Until some heads roll, I will never mention this team again on this podcast, unless it's to say they traded someone, they did something, they won this game, this story, some scandal. I will never have this team as a topic, at least for me. If Pat wants to talk about it, I'm open to it. For me, you will never hear me mention this team again on this podcast until they actually do something of note. And that is all I got.
Yo, we gotta get some sound effects and stuff, like a soundboard, so we can.
Yeah, definitely like claps. Like, no, fuck the claps. Gunshots, man. Fuck out of here. Man.
It's like the beginning of that Styles P song.
Yes. like the Joe Budden podcast, man. We begin with the gunshots, man. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's our snippet for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A lot of snippets to choose from.
Yeah.
Shit.
Man, you went off, bro.
I'm actually sorry because you didn't get to talk on that shit at all.
No, you good, bro. I feel like that made it better. You kept on cutting me off, made it funnier. I don't even know what to talk about anymore. You really ran through everything.
I had to get that out of my chest. I'm sorry.
Sheesh. And the fact that the team's on like it lost like 10 to 12 doesn't help.
Because I'm not even mad that they're losing. I'm mad at how they're losing, and I'm mad that they thought they were not going to lose.
Yeah, they should have blew it up.
They should have blew it up last year. Anyway, fuck.
They could have did an Arenado signing trade. They could have traded Story.
Yes. And they would have gotten some shit for that.
Germán Marquez, Kyle Freeland, John Gray.
You will get a lot for Germán Marquez.
Yep.
Anyway, are there any extra topics that maybe I kind of just stumped on?
I think we're good, bro. Far? Like, I feel like leaving it right here is cool. Like, cause you really just kind of leaving. I
eviscerated them.
Yeah, you eviscerated everything.
Hopefully, it's good to listen to. I mean, it felt good getting it out of my system because I needed it. So seems Pat's cool with it. So that was episode 14 of the Pinch Talk podcast with Marty and Pat. Man, I'm having a hard time doing the outro right now. Damn. Remember that the podcast is available on all platforms: Breaker, Apple Pods, Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, everything you want. The podcast will be there. Remember to check out the account, like I said, on the Twitter account, like I said at the beginning, threads that we do, Pat's articles that he does. That was pretty much it. I'm sorry if any of you, if y'all got this far. I'm sorry if you're not interested in the Rockies. I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to hear about them anymore. So that was episode 14. You want to sign off for these people?
How you guys doing? This Pat. Want to say thank you guys. We appreciate everything. We appreciate you. If you got this far, listen to Mario's rant and that awful sign off I just did. So hope you guys stay safe and have a great one. Triston McKenzie is better than Germán Marquez. And
fighting words.
And Ubaldo Jimenez.
He definitely is better than Ubaldo.
Yeah, especially after he got traded to the Indians.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on that. I'm gonna get sad again. So that was episode 14 of the Pinch Talk podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us. And see y'all next time. Probably next, right? No, exactly next week, because we'll do the power rankings and all that at the end of the month. And there will be some shit to talk about, and we got some stories also we can tell. So this is probably going to take me a while to edit. And it's my fault. Thank you for listening. That was episode 14, and peace, y'all. Stay safe.